It's a show where we engage different personalities to talk on very important issues of life. We believe life borders on having access to quality information, and those information tend to influence us to make the right choices in life in order to become more productive and fulfilled in life. Today we have very wonderful guests who will take us through the topic what marriage is, the conflict that comes with it, the challenges, the purpose for marriage, and everything you need to know about marriage. So stay tuned, and I believe by the time we are done, we would have picked one or two information that would have added up to your stock of knowledge. And I believe at the end of the day, God and country will be blessed. I have with me Professor George Boafo, who lives in New York, and also Shammah Hart Adofo, who is in Holland. And I'll give you a brief platform for you to introduce yourself. Please, Professor Boafo, you can go ahead, please.
Okay. Hi, my name is George Boafo. I'm from Ghana, but I live in New York at the moment. I'm a Christian, and I subscribe to the idea of only heterosexual relationships when it comes to marriage. When it comes to marriage, only heterosexual relationship, that is what I believe in. I mean, there are other types of marriages. Nowadays, you hear of, LGBTQ and all that have same-sex marriage and so on and so forth. I believe in the institution of marriage as instituted in the Holy Bible. The way Bible describes marriage, that is what I believe in. Every other institution is human made, and whatever is human made have its faults, right? Even if the marriage that God put forward, that of heterosexual marriages, have a few nicks, problems, and so on and so forth, how much more something that has been instituted by man, talking about other types of marriages. So in brief, that is what today's discussion is going to be. I cannot strictly introduce myself in any other way. I don't ascribe to any qualifications, as you can say, but most of the things that I can talk about will be about life as it is lived, and also as it is lived according to the word of God. Because I can tell you that knowledge as we have it, right, can be immense, but it is the knowledge of God and what God has instituted that is the best form of wisdom that you can have. Any other type of wisdom, any other form of knowledge is, I would say, is flawed. But the knowledge about God and what he talks about in terms of relationships, what he talks about in terms of marriage, I can tell you that that is the best form that you can think of. That is my stand. People may have different stands, but if you cut me into two and into bits and into pieces, every bit of me will tell you that that is what I believe in.
Great.
Thank you, guys.
Great. Thank you very much for that very insightful presentation or introduction. And Prof is an elder in the Church of Pentecost International, New York. So I love the angle to which you took this discussion. Pastor Shammah Hart, you can come in with your initial intro.
I am all the way in Holland. My name is Shammah Adofo Hart, and a life coach and vitality coach. Also, I am an author of books. And I believe that if we can hear more about marriage and relationship in Christ, especially in Christ, a lot of methods, a lot of misunderstanding, I think they will cease. And if we have a prophet with us, I think we will learn also more about the issue of marriage, and especially marriage in Christ.
Great, thank you very much. Now, from your introduction, Prof, you made mention of the very one institution of marriage that you believe in. So, what is marriage per your understanding?
Okay, let us take it from the beginning. Before any marriage can take place, marriage is, according to my understanding and what I believe in, is the bringing of two people together, right? Two people together of the opposite sex. In actual fact, the definition of marriage as we know it from the beginning, from time immemorial, has been that of a man and a woman, because it is only through a man and a woman that there's a possibility of a progeny, which means that there will be the possibility of a produce. When we talk of that, even the way that the world is set up, the way that God set up everything, we see that anytime there's going to be a reproduction, it is usually between a negative and a positive, like opposites. You see, in the animal kingdom, which we are part, even though we have been set apart differently. You see that thing, we have been set apart differently. But when we talk about biology, then we also are part of the animal kingdom. You see that thing, we are part of the animal kingdom. But when you look at the way God created things, I mean, he made the animals as part of his creation when he was creating everything. That was part. And then he took time to make man in his own image. He fashioned man in a different way as compared to the animals, in a different way, but the biology is just about the same. So if reproduction can take place, it has to take place between a man and a woman. Any other thing wouldn't work. So when it comes to marriage, part of marriage is to have a relationship, is to come together to be complete. You see, man alone is not complete according to the way God has created us. Of course, even as Paul said, some can choose to remain celibate, right? Some can choose to remain celibate, be on their own. You see that? But at the same time also, Paul goes on to say that if you can't, then definitely you have to have your own partner. You have to have your whole partner in order to fulfill the provisions that God has actually made, in order to fulfill the provisions God has made. So marriage will always start with a relationship, right? Marriage will always start with a relationship, even to the extent that the relationship that God even has with us is called a marriage, in a sense.
Yeah.
The relationship that God has with us is a marriage in a sense. That is why we have become the bride of Christ, right? But let's put that aside and let's consider our, in order not to make it too broad, we'll narrow it to relationship between human beings, So for us, marriage will always start with a relationship. Even though in traditionally different types of situations arise depending on culture and so on and so forth. Every culture has its own setup when they have to bring a man and a woman together. There are arranged marriages, of course, right? And then in modern situations, there are situations where people meet each other and then they make their own arrangement also. So if we divide it into according to these two lines, then there are arranged marriages, and then there are also marriages that people arrange themselves. Okay, a man and a woman, they meet, and then, but it all starts with a relationship. But then if we are going to talk about relationship, then there are several types, right? Several types of relationship, but it is usually the romantic type of relationship that will lead to a marriage, because we can talk of a platonic relationship, right? In which a man and a woman can be friends, but they don't go to the level of romantic relationship where it can lead to marriage. So we call that a platonic relationship. Most of the time, people think that a man and a woman cannot have a relationship devoid of sex, but it is possible, right? And especially if you are a Christian, that is entirely possible. But the world has its own way of thinking. You see, most of the time they think that when a man is in a relationship with a woman, then eventually it has to lead to sex. But that is always not the case. That is not always not the case. Unfortunately, everything that God set up to be good, man has also corrupted it in a way. So you find people in a relationship and then they end up having sex and doing all things that should be allowed only in marriage, right? That should be allowed only in marriage. But then we go ahead and we do all these things. And it leads to a lot of situations, heartbreaks, and so on and so forth. Unfaithfulness, a few things comes into that. But in order to come back to your question and make it brief, a marriage has to be between a man and a woman who have come to an understanding that they want to share their life together. They want to share their life together in order that they can also lead to reproduction. If reproduction doesn't take place, it still doesn't make it a void, because it is still an agreement that they have come together to be as one.
Great. Thank you very much. There are a lot of information from what you've given. You said, in brief, marriage has to do with a decision to share each other's life together. Yeah. And in case procreation comes through, thank God. That's not the essence ultimately. And you also made mention of different types of relationship, and that you can be with someone, the opposite sex, and not necessarily romantic relationship. And I remember in the 80s, we used to have the opposite sex free-minded, not thinking of any other thing. But now, immediately you are with the opposite sex, everyone thinks that you have something to do. So it's a good information you shared out there. And other insightful ones, as we move along, we will touch on them. Apostle Shammah, what is your take on the purpose of marriage?
Well, marriage is something so deep, because I see that it's not only for your beauty, because some people can be blind, but for your words. The words that engage you with somebody. Your words will make me feel that, oh, that is what I want from somebody, that I want to be with me. Because I believe every woman of the one that wish to have somebody, they are looking for something that can match, that can make them feel good. Because I cannot choose for everybody. I can choose for the one that have more of the stand that I am looking for. So for me, marriage is the understanding what I want and I found it, and the understanding what he want and he found it. If I don't have that two that combine me, become one, then I don't have anything.
Great. I love your point of view. So, in your point of view, sir, marriage basically has to do with seeking to understand someone, and that person also understands you, and that brings a match between the two of you, And most often that match is based on the lives you share together. So you made mention of words that engage you. So you meet someone and per what the person shares, the discussions and the ideas of the person tends to more or less shape the type of marriage environment or partner you need for life. And
Exactly.
I think this is also a very insightful approach. Now, what is the purpose of marriage? I know Prof have said a lot about it, but in brief, what is really the purpose of marriage? You made mention of yes, to share your life together, and in case procreation comes in. Many people believe it's just love, that abstract thing called love. Or I've gotten to an age where I think I should marry, and then oh, at my age I should have a child. So childbearing and not society will laugh at me because of my age. I should get married. These are some of the sorry to say funny reasons in our days people marry. So to us, what is the purpose of marriage, Prof?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Let me take that. Okay. The purpose. You see, we have to understand that. Let's take it from a little bit from the legal point of view, right?
Yeah.
And then we segue it into what you just mentioned about the fact that, yeah, we love each other. And then after that, what happens? But when we take the legal point of view, then marriage as it is to make sure that the rights of the individuals in that union, right, are championed. The rights of the individuals in that union are championed because legally, when you are married to somebody, the purpose is that whatever that the two of you bring together belongs to the two of you.
Yeah.
Belongs to the two of you. And then if there are children in it, then you also have to make sure that it also ensures the rights of those children also. You see that it ensures the rights of those children also. So that brings about, that is one thing. Then the relationship between the man, the woman, in terms of the love equation, and then the relationship also between the parents and their children. You see, so yes, we are married, but if something comes in, what does the marriage do to the products that come into the marriage? They also have to be ensured, they have to be taken care of. You see that thing? While we take care of ourselves in terms of the love relationship, and just like Shammah was saying, the love relationship, and to be sure that what I have is also yours. What you bring in is also mine. What I bring in is also mine. Legally, it has to be such that what we have been able to put together, nobody is able to just drive it apart. Because what happens in traditionally, you know, like I'll give you an example in Ghana, for example. You see that in Ghana, most marriages are not excuse me to say, legalized in terms of court documentation, right? Yeah, most of the laws surrounding marriages in Ghana has to do with the familiar situation where it is just by word of mouth and by witnessing. So everybody knows that, okay, this is this woman's husband. This is your wife. So, but then in Ghana, we have different types of situations where the purposes of marriages differ a little bit. One of them is patrilineal form of inheritance, which is usually what is also prescribed in the Bible. But then in Ghana, we also have certain tribes that believes in matrilineal form of relationship. Matrilineal, where whatever property is acquired goes to the woman. You see that thing? So most of the time, this type of matrilineal relationship, there's always a conflict that comes about where the uncles will drive the woman away or whatever it is, and then they take the property of the man, something that the two of them has put together. So in that case, in order to legalize it and then make it such that whatever you have acquired and the rights that your children should have, right, then you have to put a document to it, in which case. But these days, things have changed because the government of Ghana has even made a situation where if you die interstate, right, they have a way of distributing the property. In terms, especially with the matrilineal type of relationship, which was what was creating a lot of problems. You see that? But the good thing is that even with the way things are advancing, most people are making a will and so on and so forth, because that is because you want to ensure that the purposes of marriages are met. The purposes of marriage are met. So going back again, one is that love relationship where you want everything good for yourself and for your spouse, as well as for your children. And then two, the fact that you want this relationship to define you. So the purpose, as part of the purpose, is the respect that the man have for the woman, and then the woman also have for the man. The Bible puts it in a different way. The Bible says that what? The wife should respect her husband, and then the man should love the wife. If we go a little bit deeper into that, we'll be able to understand why God made it that way. You see, because as an anecdote, as a funny way of putting it, what women find difficult is respecting a man. So God gave them that tax, so that they will respect a man. And then what men also find difficult to do is just to love one woman. You see, so God gave us that difficult task and said that, okay, you love the woman, and then let the woman also respect you. You see that thing? So if we go according to the way God set it up, we see that in the end, we get the best type of relationship that we can find in the marriage. The woman respects the man. See, but the thing is that whenever a man loves a woman, it ends up that the woman also tends to respect the man, or the other way around. If a woman respects the husband, it turns out that in the end, right, the man tends to love the wife. You see, so like I said from the beginning, I believe in what the mind of God as compared to the mind of men, or the mind of the human race, because our minds are finite. That of God is infinite. So when we listen to the mind of God, it seems like things tend to work better for all of us.
Yes.
Okay. Professor Shammah, do you have anything to add up?
Yeah, exactly. Especially the part of be one, respect and love. If you have that, there is nothing to hide. There is nothing to fight. Maybe I can show you something you don't like, but again, how you bring it and how you receive it. If we know how to bring it and receiving and to keep maintaining the peace, we can be very successful. Because one thing I realized that as soon as I find someone, means that there's someone I want it to be my family. I want there's someone to be part of my life. I want to bluff out and say, that is my family. You, me, we came from a family, a father and a woman, a mother. But right now, we are the father, we are the mother. That is our family. And how we will that our family accept to you and me. If we don't excel in this family, that means we are real failures. So how we are maintaining what we have choose for? Oh, my relationship is not going well. But we hear what the professor said, the Bible. If we follow the Bible, how can we be failure in our relationship, in our marriage?
Great.
it
Now
is so deep.
yes, that takes us briefly to who is first to show the love and who is first to show the respect.
Respect. Yes.
Because this is, I believe, is a whole topic
Yeah.
in its own. Because
Right.
the
That's
man will
true.
say, when you respect me, I'll love you. The woman says, when you also love me, I'll respect you. So,
Mm.
who shows up first, or should it be an even ground? Please.
Let
Okay,
me,
let me
yeah, let the
take that.
prophets answer.
Okay, let me take that. Okay, because under normal circumstances, right? If we consider, let us consider it biblically. Who came first, Adam or Eve?
Man,
The
the
man.
man,
Exactly, right? So Adam came first, right?
yes,
So if Adam came first, even though now we have turned it out upside down, where we say, oh, ladies first, right?
yeah,
We always say ladies first. It is because we want to give them that respect, right? We want to give them that, But if we have to take it like the situation of the egg and the hen, who came first? Then we, in this case, because the hen will give the egg, and then the egg will also become a hen. So then who came first? But in this case, to make it easier for us, we take that approach where God created a man first, right?
yes,
God created a man first. And then out of the man came the woman. And then when Adam saw the woman, right, he said, this is flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. And then he showed love to the woman first, right?
yes,
So if we take it that way, then the man shows love to the woman